the function is 1 to 1 if for any x sub 1 and x sub 2 in the domain of f, then f of x sub 1 is not equal to f of x sub 2. That is, the same value is never paired with two different values. Proceed with the graph of 1 to 1 function. So again, how to determine if the graph is a function? Let us have this graph. Padaanin natin siya sa isang vertical line test. Ginagamit natin si vertical line test to test if the graph is a function or not. So as you have noticed, yung graph natin dito, pag dinaanan ng vertical line test, marami siyang point of intersection. So therefore, this graph is not a function. Let us have this graph. So, padaanan natin siya sa vertical line test. Okay, kung napapansin nyo, there is exactly one point of intersection. Okay, kung meron tayong exactly one point of intersection, the graph is a function. Now, how to determine if that function is a one-to-one function? So, we will use a horizontal line test. Of course, katulad din kay vertical line test, kailangan yung horizontal line test, pag dumaan sa graph mo, there is exactly one point of intersection. So, since dito sa graph natin na to, may one point of intersection lang, that is considered as one-to-one function. So, again, gagamitin natin sa vertical line test to test if the graph is a function. At gagamitin naman natin si horizontal line test to test if that function is a one-to-one function. Note, mga anak. All functions satisfy the vertical line test. All one-to-one functions satisfies both the vertical and horizontal line test. Let us proceed with the inverse of one-to-one function. So our example here is the equation y is equals to 2x minus 1. So ito yung table of values niya. So let us invert the values for x and y. So the table shows that the x and y values of a one-to-one function are interchanged. The result is also a function. But if the x and y values of a function that is not one-to-one function are inverted, the result is no longer a function. Let us define inverse of one-to-one function. Let f be a one-to-one function with domain A and range B. Then the inverse of f is denoted by f inverse. Is a function with domain B and range A. It is defined by f inverse of y is equals to x if and only if f of x is equals to y for any y in B. How to find the inverse of one-to-one function? Step 1. Write the function in the form of y is equals to f of x. Step 2. Interchange the x and y variables. Third step is to solve for y in terms of x. Let us have an example. Let us find the inverse of f of x is equals to 3x plus 1. So our first step is to write the function in the form of y is equals to f of x. So we have f of x is equals to 3x plus 1. So it will become y is equals to 3x plus 1. Then for the second step, we have to interchange the x and y variables. We will have x is equals to 3y plus 1. For our last step, we have to solve for y in terms of x. So we have x is equals to 3y plus 1. So we have to eliminate positive 1. So for us to eliminate positive 1, we have to add both sides of the equation by its additive inverse, and that is negative 1. So we will have x minus 1 is equals to 3y, and positive 1 plus negative 1 is now 0. So on the right side of the equation, we will now have positive 3y. And then again, we have to solve for y. We have to divide both sides by 3. Dahil yung 3, katabi pa niya si y. So to eliminate 3, we have to divide both sides of the equation by 3. We will now have x minus 1 all over 3 as the value of y. And ngayon, siya ngayon yung ating inverse of the original function. So we have f inverse of x is equals to x minus 1 all over 3. Let us proceed with the next example. Let us find the inverse of f of x is equals to 2x plus 1 all over 3x minus 4. So our first step is to write y instead of f of x. So we will have y is equals to 2x plus 1 all over 3x minus 4. For our second step, we have to interchange the variables x and y. So we will have x is equals to 2y plus 1 all over 3y minus 4. For the last step, we have to solve for y in terms of x. So we have x is equals to 2y plus 1 all over 3y minus 4. So for us to solve for y, we have to multiply both sides of the equation by 3y minus 4 to eliminate the denominator. So we have x multiplied by 3y minus 4 is equal to 2y plus 1. So 3y minus 4 on the denominator is now eliminated. So using the distributive property, we will have 3xy minus 4x is equals to 2y plus 1. So, ang next step natin dito mga anak ay pagsama-samahin lahat ng merong variable na y. Since ang isosolve natin dito ay value ni y. So, we will have 3xy minus 2y is equals to 4x plus 1. And then, i-factor out natin yung variable y on the left side of the equation. So, we will have y quantity 3x minus 2 is now equal to 4x plus 1. Then, pwede na natin ngayong isolve ng mabilis si y. So, we will just divide both sides by 3x minus 2 to eliminate the 3x minus 2 na katabi ni y sa left side. So, since 3x minus 2 is now eliminated, y is equal to 4x plus 1 all over 3x minus 2. So, the f inverse of x is now equal to 4x plus 1 all over 3x minus 2. Now, let us proceed with the properties of an inverse of a one-to-one function. So, the first property is the inverse of f of inverse of x is f of x. So, in short, kung ano yung inverse ng inverse ay yung kanyang original function. The next property is f inverse of x is equals to x for all x in the domain of f inverse. The third property is f inverse of f of x is equals to x for all x in the domain of f. Let us have an example. F of x is equals to x minus 2 all over 3x plus 5. So, kunin natin yung inverse nitong ating original function. So, first, write y instead of f of x. So, we have y is equals to x minus 2 all over 3x plus 5. Second step is to interchange the variables x and y. So, we will have x is equals to y minus 2 all over 3y plus 5. The third step is to solve for y. So, again, katulad kanina, we have to rewrite x is equals to y minus 2 all over 3y plus 5. And then, multiply both sides of the equation dun sa inyong denominator para ma-eliminate yung denominator nyo. Dito, ang denominator natin ay 3y plus 5. And then, multiply both sides of the equation. We will now have x multiplied by 3y plus 5. So, dito, ang gagamitin nyo naman ay distributive property para ma-multiply si x. And then, combine like terms. So, sa isang side, dapat magkakasama lahat ng may variables ng y at yung wala naman ay sa kabilang side ng equation. And then, kapag napagsama-sama nyo na, i-factor out nyo na si y. So, we now have y is equals to negative 5x minus 2 all over 3x minus 1. At ito ang ating inverse. So, f inverse of x is equals to negative 5x minus 2 all over 3x minus 1. After nating makuha yung inverse ng ating original function, i-rewrite ulit natin. Yung original function natin is f of x is equals to x minus 2 all over 3x plus 5 at yung nakuha nating inverse kanina. So, patunayan natin yung first property, which is the inverse of function is equals to f of x. Okay. So, this time, kunin natin yung inverse natin, which is f inverse of x is equals to negative 5x minus 2 all over 3x minus 1. So, siya naman yung ilalapat natin dun sa 3 steps natin. Kunin naman natin yung inverse niya. So, we will have y is equals to negative 5x minus 2 all over 3x minus 1. Then, second step is to interchange the variables x and y. So, we have this one. And then we have to solve for y by multiplying both sides of the equation by 3y minus 1. So we now have x multiplied by 3y minus 1 is equals to negative 5y minus 2 because yung denominator natin eliminated na. And then using the distributive property, we have 3xy minus x is equals to negative 5y minus 2. And then next step is to solve for y. So pag sama-samahin lahat ng may variables na y, the next step is to factor out y. So that is why we have y is equals to x minus 2 all over 3x plus 5. So kaya mapapansin nyo, yung nakuha nating inverse ng inverse ay yung ating original function. So ibig sabihin, napatunayan natin na tama yung first property that the inverse of f inverse of x is f of x. Let us proceed with the second property. The second property natin is if we have f inverse of x is equals to x. So kapag kinompose daw ng f inverse of x yung original function, the answer is x. So isulat muna natin ulit yung original function at yung inverse function natin. And then we will perform the composite function. Okay, if you still remember the operation natin, sa operation on function, meron tayong composite function. So, we have f inverse of x. Sino ba yung f inverse of x? That is negative 5x minus 2 all over 3x minus 1. Siya ngayon yung i-input natin sa lahat ng x doon sa original function, which is x minus 2 all over 3x plus 5. Kaya naging ganito yung ating equation. And then let us perform the operation. We have the LCD on the numerator, which is 3x minus 1. So we have negative 5x minus 2 minus negative 2 multiplied by 3x minus 1 all over. So i-multiply natin si 3. So we have negative 15x minus 6 all over 3x minus 1. So, ito yung ating LCD naman sa denominator. Plus 5 multiplied by 3x minus 1. And then, perform the operations dun sa mga numerator. Sa bawat numerator at denominator natin. So, simplify muna natin siya. We will have negative 5x minus 2 minus 6x plus 2 all over 3x minus 1. Sa denominator naman, we will have negative 15x minus 6 plus 15x minus 5 all over 3x minus 1. And then, simplify ulit natin. Okay, so we have si negative 5x minus 6x will now become negative 11x. At yung negative 2 natin at yung positive 2, pag kinumbine natin, it will become 0 na. So, hindi na natin siya isusulat. So, ang numerator natin is negative 11x all over 3x minus 1 all over yung ating denominator naman. So, si negative 15x plus 15x is now 0. So, eliminated na sila. So, let us add negative 6 and negative 5. We have negative 11 all over 3x minus 1. So, for us to simplify this one, you have to get your numerator, which is negative 11x all over 3x minus 1 multiplied by the reciprocal of your denominator, which is 3x minus 1 all over negative 11. And then divide. Ang sagot na lang na matitira ay x. So, ibig sabihin, napatunayan natin that f of f inverse of x is equals to x. Let us proceed with the third property. If f inverse of f of x is equals to x. So again, sulat nyo muna yung original function at yung inverse. So this time, ang input naman natin ay yung original function. I-input natin siya dun sa ating inverse function. Okay. So ang original function natin ay si x minus 2 all over 3x plus 5. Siya naman yung i-input natin sa lahat ng x dun sa f inverse of x. So that is why ito ang magiging solution natin. So after nating i-plug in yung original function dun sa inverse function, we now have negative 5x plus 10 all over 3x plus 5 minus 2 all over, i-distribute lang natin yung mga whole numbers. So we have 3x minus 6 all over 3x plus 5 minus 1. And then, i-simplify natin both numerator and denominator since marami pa silang operation. So first, get the LCD. So that is 3x plus 5. And then sa denominator then, we have 3x minus 6 minus 1 multiplied by 3x plus 5 since siya ang ating LCD. And then, isimplify nyo lahat ng numerators na nandoon sa ating numerator at denominator. So, wag kayong malilito sa mga terms natin na numerator and denominator kasi yung nagiging given natin pag rational ay nagiging complex fractions or complex rational. So, basta kilala nyo si numerator at si denominator, hindi kayo malilito. At ang basic foundation nyo dapat na alam ay yung basic knowledge na dapat alam nyo ay yung mga combining like terms, performing the integers and variables, kung paano siya i-combine para hindi kayo malito sa operations. Okay, so we now have negative 11x all over 3x plus 5 all over. Denominator naman pag sinimplify natin, so si 3x minus 3x ay 0 na. And then si negative 6x minus 5 is now negative 11. So we have negative 11 all over 3x plus 5. Kapag ganito mga anak yung operation natin, complex fraction kasi division ang operation. So we will just have to reciprocate natin yung denominator, tas i-multiply na natin. Kaya ang nakuha natin dito ay x. Natin yung third property that f inverse of f of x is equal to x.